Okay, so I'm recording this video to just see how I do spinning up a lab, as well as trying to get Microsoft Directory just running on a VM Hyper-V. So first, we're gonna need no matter which version, really. I think versions 2022, 2019, 2016. What I know, they're pretty much all the same, but I chose 2025 because it's the most recent. So I have you fill in all your information, and then you'll be put into this page, and then same for price image, your ISO. Server is going to become. So let's hop into Hyper-V and create our first. Let Hyper-V do its thing. Oh, okay. So now we can here. First, we want to set the memory to about 4 gigs of memory. Okay, so after a little bit of troubleshooting, I figured it out. Walk you through what I'm going to do first. So here we are. Let's make sure our local machine is highlighted, and then we're going to go into action and new and virtual machine. From here, we're going to create our virtual machine. So let's just next, we're just going to name this domain controller, where our server is going to be installed. And I've already created a separate folder in my E drive for my Hyper-V VMs. So usually this would be a default in your C drive, but I didn't want it in my C drive. So that, and the way you change it in Hyper-V is go to Hyper-V settings, and then you can browse and change your. Anyhow, that's not the point. The point is to create the virtual machines. Generation 2, we're going to give it about 4 gigs or oh, my num-lock is not. Gigs of memory. And we're also not going to use dynamic memory. We just want to have it set at 4 gigabytes instead of having it continuously switch how much memory it has. We're just going to do the default switch for networking. We can change it later if we need to, and then we're going to create a new virtual disk. So it gives you the default name that you have made when you go to select name, when you create a name or give a name for your virtual machine, for the virtual hard disk as well. So we're going to set our size to about 50 megabytes for this. We don't need 127 gigs. So installation options, which you can read from the instructions, is they're install an operating system later, or install it as you're booting. So we're going to select ISO, hit next, and this is probably everything. We can change everything else besides the generation later, so it doesn't matter too much. So now we can hit finish. Oops, I already have a hard disk in this name already. So let's just delete that first. Because I created a test VM, and then I did this again. I deleted the VM and then tested again. Where we are right now. And so this should be okay now. There we go. Yeah. Duplicate. So boom, from here, are going to want to hit connect first, because if you hit start and connect, you won't be able to press any key. I'm pressing enter, I'm pressing F, I'm spamming my keyboard right now and nothing's happening. And you can't get into the screen where you follow the instructions, press any key to boot from CD or DVD, and do it because not registering your input with your keyboard. So the way you get the VM to register from the keyboard is to, well, let me show you. But first, I want to show you what the screen or what is going to happen if you just let this sit for a little bit, which is probably the error that you're going to get because this is the error I got before I figured it out. All right, and here we are. We get this error that can't boot or the bootloader has failed because the boot image was not found. So it cannot load any operating system. So the way you do it is it's still running right now. So we're gonna off. We're gonna hit connect first instead of start first. So we get connect and we get this screen. And from here we press start from this screen. That's when you're able to press enter on your keyboard and boom, you are in. Here we're just gonna call the server. It's pretty much just do all the settings and I'll be back. Settings are pretty much just this. Biggest one. I don't know why there's partitions. Hit next earlier and then I went back, and so this is why partitions. But anyway, usual with all partitions, and I'll see you when I get the end. Right, so it has finished installing and it's restarting right now. So back in a few minutes because it still has to do the actual installation. Great. Okay, now that the installation is done, we get screen. So kind of just get forced with the username administrator, and now we're gonna password for it. Oopsie. Oh, all right. It doesn't mean I'm very stupid. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, we're in business now. Press Control Alt. Color. Let's just keep it like this right now. If we need to, we can just full screen as always. Probably. Word only, please. All right, cool. Thanks. And close out of this for now. First things first, we are going to want to, let's see if we have internet at all. Or Windows I. Later, but first things first, we are going to want to update the system name. This start the computer once we save this. Can't have a space in it. Okay, so we're gonna restart it now. Now that we're on this screen, well, server manager is gonna boot startup, but we want to see look at MD. Or system resources will be nice. Responsiveness. I want to check if it's any internet connection. Most is just type in Google. Usually when that happens, yes, connection. So we are good. Even though clearly CMD tells us be config, we're ready anyway. Oh my god, this is sluggish. Holy. All right. Yeah. Okay, so we're good. Let's move on to the next step. Pause. Same as last time. So we're gonna hit connect, then start. Then we press the enter key. And this is just gonna be like any normal Windows setup. So I've probably been through this 1,000 times at this point. All right, hold on. I'll be right back. And let me add some cores. Okay, so in the previous error message, we got we don't have enough cores and we don't have TPM 2.0 enabled. So first of all, we're gonna head over to processors. Already added another processor, so now we have two, which is I think the minimum that we need in order to get security and enable TPM. Boot is on. I think we should be good, so let's just apply an OK. But okay, so seems to be working. So again, we're gonna do that, and right, see you when it's done. All right, now that we're here, it is. That is correct. Even data. US is fine. Not. This is just, again, standard Windows setup. So there's really not much to talk about. Short before we continue any recording parts. Okay, now that we have restarted, it is gonna ask. Microsoft really wants us to sign in with a Microsoft account, but we're not gonna do that because free. So we're gonna join a domain. Pretend we're an admin. Even better, use an online account. No thanks. All right, and we have to answer questions, so I'll be right back as well. And again, we'll probably get a little bit of updating. Oh, or not. Okay. No, we will. Never mind. I lied. So, yeah. We are just gonna wait for this to finish. It is currently 1:37. I will see you at the end and see how long it takes for us to update it. So, be right back once again. Right. So, we are finally in. First, again, let's go into CMD. This is, again, the client computer. And we indeed do have internet. Rename the device. Those or client. We can restart it now. And at this point, we have created two standalone devices. So, of course, we have the domain controller, which is the server, which is currently not really uh, a domain controller yet. It's just a server at this point, which we have to promote to a domain controller. So next, that's going to be the step, is to promote our server into a domain controller. Subsequently, from there, we can allow these two to be joined together. Or really not joined, but for the domain controller to be controlling the Windows client. That's what we want. So let's move on to that. Okay, now that we're back on the server, we're going to go into Server Manager, the manage and add roles. We can just hit next on most of these, I believe. Give it a second. That took quite a while, but thankfully it worked. So next we are going to do domain services, which gives us some server administrative features as well. And for now, we can also hit next the next few times. And finally install. All right, finally, we are here. That took about 5 billion years because turns out I did not processor count to the two cores or process or the was so slow. And that's because I was running on one processor the whole time. So now that we're here, we get to promote this to a domain controller. So let's one instance. We are making a whole new first. We just do test dot probably because we are creating a whole new first, and then we click next. Probably wait a while because again, all in core. Never mind. Great. Everything the same. We do have to input our password, but we have to wait for this to finish loading. That this password is complex enough because otherwise it's gonna not allow me word. Great. Okay. This is a specific DNS. So if you have a specific DNS forward it to, that's it. But for now, so test this name corresponds with here we can probably keep everything the same. Won't need the script. Here we can do install as well. This should probably automatically restart. I'll pick up when that happens. Okay, so now that it has finished installing, it's going to sign in. Probably going to restart. Yep, which is a good sign. We'll see if it crashes on me or not. I'm going to exit for now. Actually, no, let me connect first. Or not. Looks like I'm going to have to turn this off. But what is supposed to happen is that I log in again. Show me that I have two accounts. So the administrator account as well as another user account. But since it is being a bit difficult, I'm going to shut it down and wait for the progress to merge just so we can save. Corrupt it. Then hoping to give it a bit more juice in the system. And then we can go on it again, head into the server and figure out the rest of the stuff. That it is properly this time. Take a few seconds. By few, I meant probably like 15, 20 of pure black screen until this popped up. That definitely scared me because I thought I breaked it, but I think we're good. So once this loads, I will be back to show you what we're going to do next. So now that we are finally booted up inside the domain controller, we are going to do this, and here we are. We have two user accounts. Actually, I signed in already. Before I was just stuck in other user like that, and I had to sign in with my admin account information, which is basically in the very beginning when we were signing into the main controller before adding it into a domain at all. It's gonna be administrator password, and we're gonna sign it like that. But since we have this option now, we're gonna just sign into the administrator directly. we can access tools. So we can from here create a user. Go ahead and do that. So right now we are person to help with a company, this new company called Test. So we are going to give or assign this new IT employee domain admins. All right, so let's create a new user. They are new IT employees called John Pork. Pork J. P. Whatever. We can do without it. Cool. Okay. Cool. We're going to create a password for John Pork as well. I create a password for this user. I don't trust that. So let's just. And there's a few options. Let's say your system policy where department to help them change the print or whatever. You might want to click these. Finish. Yeah, because we need to create a more complex. Go ahead and do that for us. Okay, so I finally inputted a complete or a complex enough password to let me through finally. So now that we can have John Pork as a user, we are going to settle John Pork up with his roles. So to give John Pork's user to not be a user anymore, we're going to right click on his name and go to properties. And there's a lot of cool things we can do here. For example, fill in their address, which probably we're never going to use. Okay. Part we can go into logon hours. Then we can deny. And want them to not be able to log on to any endpoints. So for example, from 12 to about 7 a.m. in the morning, they won't be able to log on throughout the entire week. Same for 12 a.m. Well, the company's doing backup or whatever, or they just employees to log on. But we're here to give John Pork a role, which is going to correspond to with this, which gives user admin permissions. Press OK here, and works of. And now John Parker is no longer just a user, but also a. Okay, now we need to connect our client to our domain controller for machines, and this is just a regular. And this is a regular computer, and it's not part of any domain. It's not part of the company, so we need to make this a part of the company. And in order to do that, we need to first I don't think you need to do this because out. But in our case, because we're running this in a VM, we do need to configure it ourselves. So to make sure we have the correct thing going on, we want to go into both of our points in ipconfig on command prompt to see that we do indeed have a IPv4 address, and they are two different IPv4 addresses. So we need to essentially force our client to forward this DNS to here, the server with their IPv4 address, and we do this by going into internet settings. We go to DNS, I believe. So we are going to DNS. Copy and paste here into here. Be good. Since we have that configured, we can probably computer or a computer inside the domain. So we're gonna write related links and domain group. Where is test.local as we have done before. Press OK. We should have this pop up, which means that computer is communicating with the DNS that was given from the domain controller. And from here, we want to enter the credentials of John Pork. So these are we created just earlier. Pork J instead, and then very long password. But there we are, and we get the welcome to local domain message. We can restart now. We're signed in with John Pork instead. Our user right here. So I'm going to sign out again and re-sign in just to show how it works. Because we're not an admin. With this, the admin will sign in with the other password. Since we have created John Pork, we are going to put in the username of John Pork, which is Pork J, and then we're going to put in the password for that account as well. So pretend we're John Pork right now. And once the credentials are right, you get John Pork as the name instead, even though we put in Pork J as the user logon name. John Pork is a part of the company. We can also create a multiple users into department. Say you have department and HR department in a company. When you create a user group, you'll have a department user group and then a HR department user group. Group policies, of which you can put into the user group. They will have these policies automatically applied because the user realizes everybody in that group. Do that with a dynamic user. Remotely configure a computers that are in your domain. pull computer, which is client 0. Here we right click and we go to manage. A little bit, it should connect. Popped up, computer management. We can say okay, so I've backed out and we are back in here again. As I was saying earlier, we want to check what type of devices and users we have that have the greater privilege. So currently remoted into client computer, and we're gonna go into users group. And in general properties, we have client administrator. So whoever computer itself has administrator privileges, but the user John Park itself does not. So we're gonna go into Pork, the user that could be. Of course, if we didn't want to just add a single user and group of people in the IT department, we can also obviously go department, which probably have a user group. I don't have that right now, so I'm not impressed. Imagine you have an IT group or IT user group. You're gonna press IT and you check name, and then you can add the entire user group as administrator. Subsequently, the users inside that user group will have administrator properties as well. Earlier, before, was not able to remotely connect to the client computer, and that's because the firewall rules were not set properly, and it gives you an error telling you to enable some inbound rules. So pretend like we're having to do that from scratch again. Hop on over to the client what you would call it, settings, firewall inbound rules. And we're going to want to type in wf dot and security. And we're going to get rules, and really it's just reading documentation in the error. Luckily, the error gave me enough information as to how to solve the issue, which was go to the remote event log and the cluster of it, and we just want to enable all of them. So before this was disabled, and so that's why I was not able to remotely control computer from the server or domain controller, but after that I was able to remote in. So troubleshooting step. And lastly, I just wanted to show that when this client is now, Pork is now administrator from the client computer and not the groups. I will click groups and administrators, and here we see ourselves. Remember, these are two different computers, right? Bring up domain controller. We can go back to I had to do right click on find, and then we go to computers, and then we type in partial name find, and then we give this niche. I'll show you the other way to do it. Computers, and then right click. Alt. Now that we're in, same thing as before. You see that these two, again, two completely different machines, but they are corresponding with the same output. So that means whatever we've done here remotely to this computer has worked because it is showing locally on this computer as well. you enjoyed my hopefully help someone there. Help me. So yeah.